Welcome to Stick Shift Hot Wheels. This is a review of the 1995 Roaring Rods series, and this is part of the segment series where it was a set of 4 vehicles, each with a unique theme. Now, the variations that you see here are hard to find, so that means you would have to possibly travel to many stores to try to find these. They were cars that had been out in previous years, but they all had a theme, and there was many of these 4-car sets each year. A themed series of animal vehicles, so each vehicle features a specific animal print, and I think it's done in a really nice way. It's not done in a cheesy, cartoony way. There's no actual image of the animal on the side of the vehicle or a head of an animal or something. It's just cool. To me, it reminds me of an African safari. It features various animal prints on various cars, and Hot Wheels just isn't making, cars like they used to, and they're not making these cool tampos anymore and these cool designs. So the car you see on the turntable is actually car number 3, and it is the Shelby Cobra 427. And this was a personal car of mine, and I've had it since it was new. And as you can see, the tampos and the paint are still in mint condition. The axles are a little bit rusty because of water damage, but other than that, it is mint. So last year, I decided to pick up the rest of the 4-car series of the Roaring Rods, and as you'll see with the photograph now, this is the complete set. And as you'll notice, there isn't 4 cars here, and that's because in the 90s, Hot Wheels loved to do different variations. They loved to put different wheels on the exact same casting that would be randomly thrown in the same year, in the same case, for example, for this run. And then around this time also, 95 was about the very tail end of when Hot Wheels was transitioning castings from all metal, which is metal base, metal body, to the cheaper, lighter, which means lighter shipping, plastic base and metal body. And the car that you see here on the turntable has the plastic base. So the Cobra has a metal base variation here, and the car is significantly heavier. So I will be opening up all these variations. We'll get them on the turntable, and I'll show you what exactly is different, what's cool, and some interesting other things I found while opening these cars. Be back in a minute. Car number 1 is the Street Rotor. The Street Rotor is actually a Suzuki Samurai, but because of copyright reasons, Hot Wheels had to remove the Suzuki logo that was in the black front grille, and they called it Street Rotor. Obviously, the Suzuki Samurai is a tiger, and I think the stripes look absolutely amazing. They're crisp, they're clear, they're black. The car is painted bright orange, and it features the construction tires, but for this release, the wheel is painted orange, which is a very nice touch. Features a smoked front windshield. There's no side or rear windows, and it features a black interior and a black roll cage in the rear. And because this is the 90s, when Hot Wheels was still, thank God, doing metal bodies with metal bases for a 99-cent car, praise the Lord, because it makes all the difference. So because this car is an SUV and it's raised up, it has that extended base to lift it, which means that's a lot of metal. what I'm getting at is it's a small SUV, but a very, very heavy casting. It's really satisfying to hold in your hand. Interestingly, the axles on this car are slightly bent, and then you may be wondering why the car is tilted and leaned. Well, it kind of like, it does this, like it's not suspension, but it kind of wiggles back and forth. I assume that's what they wanted it to do, but you can't apparently have the car be level. It just kind of rocks to one side. I think that's just how the casting was, because I have another version of the car and it does the same thing. So I guess that's how they all are. Car number 2 is Roll Patrol. And in the 90s, Hot Wheels, they didn't want to license the cars, so they named them other things and they kind of made them a little bit not 100% accurate, I guess, to skirt the copyright. So Roll Patrol is none other than a Jeep. I think it's a CJ6. I'm not up on my Wranglers exactly. So it's sort of a weird casting. I don't know, the way the front of the hood comes up is a little odd, but hey, this is the casting. I think it came out in the early 80s. So it's very iconic, and the people born in the 80s and 90s, they love this thing to death. Coincidentally, this is the first version of this casting I've ever had, that I've ever seen with my own eyes. It's pretty cool. I like it. It's very detailed for being a not very detailed casting, if that makes sense, because of the tampos. Obviously, this is none other than a zebra, and the tampos work very, very well. The car is bright white, contrasts well with the stripes, features a smoked windshield. It has a plastic roll bar, plastic black interior, and again, this has a metal base. Now, this metal base is different. It's a unfinished metal base that's been painted a blackish gunmetal, and the reason I know this is because the bottom of the base on this car seems to be flaking off some, which is interesting. So now, what's cool about this car is there's two variations. This variation has the chrome construction tires. And the second variation is this one with the yellow construction tires. And again, the base is different. It's metal, but it's gloss black. So they went to a lot of length to create variations and to make things more complicated and to spend more money where money didn't need to be spent. Why didn't they just all make the bases all the same? The only thing I can think of is maybe they were made in different plants, but both has a Malaysia base, but that doesn't mean much. Here, you can clearly see the difference. Black, gunmetal-ish. I think it's cool just to have two variations of a car from 1995 and that they were doing that. I could only imagine when these came out in 1995, the hardcore collectors, I could totally see them foaming at the mouth, trying to find the rare variation with the yellow hubs, and they'd be fighting at the pegs over it, and there'd be, you know, trying to find it, and it'd be hard to find. I could totally see that it would be a thing, just like it is today when you're trying to find a color variation or a wheel variation or a tampo variation. So that is car number 3. It is awesome. It is really iconic, and I think for some people it could be the favorite car in the set for them. But that's not the case for me, because I have better taste than that. Oh! So you can guess which car is my favorite out of the three. Obviously, it's the only one I had as a child, so it's the one I picked up off the pegs for myself. And it is none other than the 427 SC AC Cobra. And one would like to think that the snakeskin tampo and coloration is the color of a cobra. That would be nice, but a cobra is black. I believe they're all black, so it wouldn't look really cool. So what did they do? They painted it like a tree viper. They should have just used a friggin' Dodge Viper for this casting and stuck this tampo on the 92 Dodge Viper, and it would have been friggin' amazing. But that's neither here nor there. And this looks badass. The 427 Cobra is one of my favorite Hot Wheels castings of all time. It's probably within my top 10. And the tampo work on this car is second to none. The crosshatch pattern is awesome. And the crosshatch pattern varies from car to car. And then there's a stripe going up the middle that has little dots within the diamond pattern as well. And this car features a metal base, the 7-spoke wheels. It features an army green interior and a smoked windshield. But the piece de resistance is this car still has the opening hood before Hot Wheels took it off and changed the entire casting in like 2010 or something. Or I don't know when it was. But this car came out in the early 80s. It was red, and that opening feature for the hood is awesome, and the engine is die-cast metal. And of course, oh yes, it looks amazing. Absolutely stunning. Now, what's cool is there's a rare variation. And you'll say, it looks like the same car. Well, yes, but maybe no. There's some things I noticed after I opened the car. The first thing to note is this car has the base variation. It's a metal painted base, not plastic, and it is significantly heavier. I'm gonna have to weigh both of these and see, but the plastic version is significantly lighter, and of course the metal based versions came out first, and then they changed the tooling halfway through the production run, so it's very hard to find the metal base, and they command easily 3 times the price on the open market. But what was cool to me that I didn't know until I opened it was the metal-based one is coming around closer to you right now. And it's clear to me that the lime green or fluorescent yellow color is lighter than my version that I've had out of the package since 1995. Mine in the background is richer and brighter and more fluorescent, and the stripes on the metal base variation are slightly different. And the metal base variation, I think that's an imperfection. Yep. That's an imperfection there in the casting. There's a hole in the license plate area. And the other thing I noticed was I assumed that the tampos were put down over the paintwork. But after seeing the car I just opened, I'm not so sure. Because there's white right there next to the stripe. So White is not the color of the paint, it's not the color of the die-cast metal. I don't know where that came from. It's weird. I don't know if anyone else has one like that. And then this one, there's a little bit of issue with the cast here. It doesn't look very good. So that's the 427 Cobra. And in my mind, all the cars are amazing, but if you can only afford one, get yourself the metal base variation 427 Cobra, mint in the package. Open that sucker and just look at it. Now, car number 4 is the mini truck, and it is a fantasy car that is based on a Japanese mini truck like Toyota Tacoma. But what's interesting with the mini truck is it has an exposed chrome engine, but it's very California. It's a convertible, and then the truck bed is filled with 3 subwoofers, 2 amplifiers, and 2 more subwoofers in the rear, which is crazy. And it has a chrome exhaust pipe, and cast into the rear bumper for the license plate it says truck. And that's an amazing idea, to cast a license plate name into the car. I think Hobos should be doing that all the time. Why they don't do that, I don't know. So clearly this is a cheetah. It is painted a matte sand color, and it features black cheetah print, and the interior is a darker sand color. And this car comes in 3 different wheel variations. This one is the 5-spoke wheel variation. It is the most common. It's the one you're going to see all the time. They are basically a dime a dozen, and in my mind, it's classic. 5-spoke rim. Looks amazing. Now, the second rarest version is the 7-spoke wheel. And the 7-spoke wheels were coming out and being used more and more in 1997, in 96. They were starting in 95. So it's a hard to find wheel variation, this 7-spoke chrome. The tampos are exactly the same place. It's not like the Cobra where there's some variation. So all the spots are in all the same spaces, and it's got the right stance with the larger rear wheel, and the casting is very skinny. This is the hardest variation to find. It is the ultra hot wheel variation. The ultra hot wheels were used in the late 80s and in the Blue Card series up to 1991 exclusively, and then they kind of bled in a few years afterwards, just kind of here and there. So this car is extremely hard to find. I got very lucky and was able to buy the complete set, all of these cars unopened except for the one I had, from one very nice seller in Washington State. And it was really hard to find this ultra hot variation. People were selling the single ultra hot variation of just this car for the cost of 3 of these other cars separate, which was insane. But as a lot, buying all of them together, I got a really good deal, and the collector was super nice, and he also had some 1995 first editions that I was missing, so it was well worth getting it. It's kind of cool with the Ultra Hots, actually. It has kind of a retro vibe to it. Thank you for watching my review of the 1995 Hot Wheels Roaring Rods series of 4 cars with the complete set of all variations for a total of 8 vehicles. If you liked this review, you may also like to watch some of my other Hot Wheels 1995 videos. I have the complete set of the 1995 model series, which are the new vehicles for 95. I have a lot of vintage Hot Wheels videos is what I'm trying to get at.